Business Focus with Kudzie, Sharara on the Champions League breakfast.
This Business Focus is brought to you by the People's Own Savings Bank, POSB. # convenience made simply possible.
120 years of making life simply possible. # convenience made simply possible by POSB. We have opened a new sub-service center in Borodale, located at the Zimpost Borodale offices, where you can access a full range of POSB services, including new account opening, cash withdrawals and deposits, loan applications, cash collection for money transfer services like POSB, Remita, Western Union, Mukuru, MoneyGram, and Mama Money. We also do business and institutional banking and so much more at our new sub-service center in Borodale as a POSB. Good morning to you, Kudzie. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Tinashe. Good morning, Patsani, and good morning, everyone.
Great. It's the world of business. So bring in your questions on our WhatsApp platform 0719-100404. Let's begin by looking at the trading update of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange yesterday.
Thank you, Tinashe. So the ZSE continued to trade in the positive territory, and yesterday some we could call it the marginal gains being recorded across the board, with the Osha index putting on 0.84%, and then the top 10 index doing slightly better with a 1.52% gain. There were also gains on the top 15 index, although some losses were recorded in the medium cap index. The VFX was also the negative territory, down by 0.11%. Now looking at the top risers and fallers for the day, Wilde was the top riser rather, with a 13.33%. That's the brick maker there, Wilde. We still wait for that news where they say that they are looking at turning some of their idle land into property development. We haven't heard from them since then. Star Africa also putting on 5.26%. EcoCash adding 2.79%. We had EcoCash released their results recently. You remember that EcoCash, when we start to talk of EcoCash, we are talking about EcoCash Holdings and not the mobile money operator, because the mobile money operator is under Econet, and then EcoCash Holdings only has Stuart Bank as its business unit. So the other ones, EcoCash and the other ones, were moved to Econet, so they are now reported under Econet, but the company is still known as EcoCash Holdings, and they released their results, which we spoke about yesterday. And then Delta also putting on 2.59%. Delta recently released their results, which showed that Zimbabweans are drinking as much beer, more beer than they used to. And they are selling, for example, lager beers at record levels, more than they've ever sold. And although they reported some decline in terms of sorghum beer, that is their traditional beer.
Wise waters.
So and investors seem to be responding to that with a 2.89% gain. Econet also putting on 2.38%, and we'll talk about Econet later because they also released their results yesterday, their financials, half-year financials. And then Fidelity Life was the biggest loser with a 15% drop. Tenor losing 13.35%. March down 2.39%. Citco easing 0.59%, and Dairyboard also coming off by 0.26%. Now talking about Econet. So for the first time, I think this is for the first time ever, Econet is now generated more revenue from data, selling of data and internet services than they did with
voice calls,
airtime. Yes.
Saka vanhu takuwandira kuma WhatsApp call.
Yes, and from calls to clicks. So it means that people are now using more data, or the company is now generating more of its revenue from data than it did from voice. So for this period under review, the half year for their 2025 financial year, 47% of their revenue came from data and internet services, and then 41% came from local airtime, which is for your voice calls. And you compare with the prior year comparative, last year same period, 49% was coming from airtime. Now airtime is only contributing 41%, and then 38% was coming from data, but now data is contributing 47%. So there's been this shift where people are now using more of data than voice calls. And even in terms of growth, the growth in the usage of data was at 56%. But people are still calling because
I wanted to ask you, Kudzie, with all these numbers now, does it then mean, Kuti, it's now more expensive to do calls, direct calls, than to do data calls?
I wouldn't put it that way, because remember that when usage of data is not only to make WhatsApp calls.
Yeah, I know.
It's also to do with going online, streaming, Facebook and other platforms that are online, even reading newspapers, even listening to Capital FM. You can do it online. So you're using more data. So it's got nothing to do with the price tag, but it's this shift where more people are now going online. The other day we were talking about the decline in newspaper readership, but it doesn't mean people are no longer reading news articles, but they are reading them online.
Someone was telling me, Utanzi, of late, if you buy data rema zig rinogara, or my voice calls ema zig anogara than ema USD.
I don't know whether that is true or not, but I also experienced it, I think a year or so ago, when some relatives from the UK came and they bought the I think I can't remember, we bought the Zim dollar. It was Zim dollar.
Zim dollar then,
yes.
Yeah.
And before I think they less than a day they were saying our data is free, but then you couldn't, and then we bought again, and again the usage was really fast. However, you can't really say kuti ndozviri kuitika. Why? Because apa vanga changouya maybe vanga ine zvima
backup updates
chivajaira kaunge vanga vari online kwavanousa Wi-Fi and stuff, so maybe vanga vaine zvimwe zvinhu zvachiita background zvakaskubva zvadya because vanga vaine maday. You remember tunongori in transit uchiflyer from UK, we go through other countries, maybe you are not online, saka paunozosvika kune data and then things just start updating and so I don't know, I don't think that has been proven, but I know I'm meeting executives from a mobile network operator. I think next week we'll ask that question to see
so kudzinda ndochiti ma-cause anenge atidzikirei data
contribution yema-calls yashoma ainodzikira yashoma than yedata.
Okay.
But in terms of growth, okay, before you again, so before, in terms of growth, usage yedata yakakwira ne-56%. Yema-calls still yakakwira ne-36%, which is not small. It's double digit. Yes.
Okay. So mvunzo wangu ndokuti vanhu vari business minded vanokwanisa here kuita calls like api calls and stuff kana udaita mabusiness chaiwo
kuita kufona pa
kutemba data kufona pa WhatsApp kuita business. Is it business like?
I think I've maybe I'm not business like,
not on Wi-Fi but on using your mobile data.
People talk about privacy and stuff. You have to ask, can I call an app? But I think you can still do a WhatsApp call. My offices will go on within the same company and with other colleagues from other companies again and say, can I call you on app? Can I do a then you call per actual party. I think it's something that people are now accepting. Calls can come per WhatsApp.
Someone says that it's true. Airtime here 1 USD, ne airtime here 20 zig. Yes, zig inotogara more.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
But it's funny. Opposite. US
personally, I've used for my calls. I've used the zig one. Contract line.
Okay. So
Anogara, yeah. I've enjoyed it.
But a minute is a minute. Can I minute?
We don't.
Okay, we will leave it to the experts. We'll try and get a response to this number of say. But also, in one thing that they also clarified, I remember people were saying that no, data rukunza upera these days, and then they said, for example kana ungoshandisa 2G or 3G handiti musi waunonzowapa 4G or 5G
it's faster
saka data rako rokurumbidza kuita sei
kupera
because izvinhu zvekungomhanya zvawangojera uchine ichita buffering and stuff like that zvakangotaka kawani and then iwe unongo uchitonakirwa so that can also be an issue.
Business Focus right here on Capitalk, proudly brought to you by People's Own Savings Bank, POSB. We have 25 more Zimpost offices at our agents network. These include Zimpost Entumbane, Nkulumane, Hauna, Bechnaf, Nyazura, Checheche, Mount Selinda, Mvurwi, Glendo, Muzarabani, Wedza, Chivu, Beatrice, Magunje, Mangura, Murombezi, Mwenezi, Triangle, Chivi, Nyika, Binga, Nkai, Donga, Mukoba, and Zimpost Shurugwi. You need to enjoy the services all over Zimbabwe, courtesy of POSB. So, Kudzie, let's look at just quickly the latest corporate news. What do we have?
Yeah, so I think we spoke about Econet earlier on. It had been one of the corporates that are listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, and obviously that impressive growth in terms of the business. It's for me, it's very interesting to see that as much as we are saying people are now shifting towards doing voice calls over internet, there's still growth in voice calls. People are still making those calls. A 36% growth in voice calls is really huge, and I think the company has also been rewarding its investors, its shareholders. I think it paid 2 quarterly or interim dividends to its shareholders. So again, giving back to the shareholders. So there is that shareholder value that is being created by this particular mobile network operator that is Econet. So we continue to see corporate results coming through. Other companies that have also come through with their results. I think Masimba Construction also coming through with their results and talking about the continued growth in their order book. So I think that's what we can say about corporates here.
All right. And lastly, Kudzie, interest but we just thought we should talk about it and hear more. Latest on Magets.
Yeah, issue Magets. Yeah, there are issues with regard to electricity. At the moment, we have got you could call it a crisis, right? When you have got hours and hours of load shedding, and I think there was a Zimbabwe-Zambia conference that was taking place, NH conference that was taking place in Victoria Falls this week, and I think it ended yesterday, where obviously the two countries are trying to see how best they can leverage on each other's partnerships to make sure that we have enough electricity. But interestingly, coming from ZESA, through the executive chairperson, Sydney Carter, who say that industry and mines must not wait for government to provide them with power generation, because he spoke about that the country is under sanctions. He spoke about over time the country didn't have cost-reflective tariffs, and although that has been sorted now, they are now charging cost-reflective tariffs. But there are still chances of issues of current guarantees. There is no current guarantee. There is that risk which is still there. Also into issues of implementation of projects. But what he was saying was that the moment they told companies to say, guys, if you wait for government, then you are always going to have a shortage of electricity. And he says, and also the issue of making sure that we have cost-reflective tariffs, it resulted in projects with projects of about 3,000 megawatts that are currently in progress. Akatotangwa. And about 2,500 megawatts are expected to have been completed by 2025, December 2025. So next year, an additional 2,500 megawatts will be on the national grid, which is, I think that would be fantastic. I think after that, we will not have issues of electricity shortages. So those are some. That's the issue of power after 2025. Hopefully, we will not have power issues. Although the mining sector itself, for example, they currently it's demanding about 700 megawatts. Mining sector on its own, but they are saying that by 2025 they will need about 2,000 megawatts. So they really need to continue to invest in power generation.
Remember the other day, Kudzie, we were having an off-air discussion. We were saying, why can't we have a situation where every company is from 8 to 5. They're supposed to be using their own solar.
Yeah, I think that's what most companies have realized, and they are putting these investments, which Mr. Gata is talking about here. But these ones are even major projects that some private companies are putting through. You've got, for example, in Wange, there is a company called Titan that is going to put about 720 megawatts, and that project is awaiting groundbreaking. And then there is another one in Kariba, the floating of solar project, about 600 megawatts, that is also awaiting conclusion of financial close. But be that as it may, about 2,500 are expected to be done by end of December 2025. Yeah, so maybe we join South Africa. South Africa, I heard that they are saying that there won't be any electricity shortage or load shedding until 2029, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, so they sorted their issues there.
Direct for you, Kudzie. And what does Kudzie think on privatization of ZESA?
Privatization of ZESA, I think it's you might not I don't think there's need to privatize ZESA. Just allow them to charge cost reflective tariffs, but what I think should be done is to open up the sector. ZESA ifana kuve ni monopoly kuti munhu wese agadzira magetsi ake then anofana kuenda through ZESA. What needs to be so we might say the national grid remains with ZESA. That's the national grid, which again, unfortunately, Mr. Gata or Chairman Gata was also saying that is it's not going to generate magetsi and it, but national grid arena capacity to take all these renewable energy projects that are coming through. The national grid doesn't have that capacity, so there is need for investment in the national grid. But what I think is that let's open it up to anyone who wants to generate electricity to be able to do so and charge directly to customers, not to go via ZESA, where you supply ZESA with electricity and then ZESA ndoyozo kubhadhara yatengesera vanhu, because ZESA has got issues with payments. So allow me to put up my power generation like that against kunyabira area. Imagine wangonzi mimtengesera eva munoda votengesera the community munyabira ne Westgate vani vava vazombofa vakashaya magetsi pane 25 megawatts dziripo panyabira pepe. They are allowed to sell directly to the customers. I think that's what we need. Okay,
great. Let's end it off today right here on Capital Talk on Business Focus. Thanks, Kudzie, for today.
Thanks, Nash.
Business Focus proudly brought to you by POSB. 120 years of making life simply possible. Hashtag convenience made simply possible.
Business Focus with Kudzie Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.
This Business Focus was brought to you by the People's Own Savings Bank. POSB. Hashtag convenience made simply possible.
Just 4 minutes up before the news at 8 a.m. is our time, and let's talk about the Summer Drive campaign that is currently going on from Tiger Wheel and Tire. And joining us on the line is Dumisani Dube, who is Tiger Wheel and Tire National Retail Manager. Mr. Dumi, good morning to you and welcome to Capitalk.
Morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Let's hear more from you, much about the Tiger Wheel and Tire Summer Drive campaign in a nutshell.
Well, the campaign started on the 1st of November and will end 31st of December. It is an annual event where Tiger and Tire and its partners have come together to give away some great prices, but at the same time ensuring that our customers are safe on the road. The draw date will be on the 18th of January 2025. And I know the question, how do I qualify for the competition? Well, very easy. Purchase 2 or more passenger, SUV or light truck tires with full services at any one of our Tiger and Tire stores, and you're in the draw and stand a chance to win a big prize.
Oh, lovely. Thanks so much to you on that one, Dumi. Let's look at, we understand that as Tiger Wheel and Tire, you recently launched a new truck tire retrading facility that was launched on Monday. Can you tell us more about this new facility?
Yes, we did. And up front, I'd like, on behalf of Tiger Wheel and Tire management and team, to thank His Honorable Minister Ngobizit Ndlovu, Minister of Industry and Commerce, for officially opening the facility for us. I'd also like to thank our valued customers and partners for turning up in huge numbers to see the opening. Look, I'm not forgetting the staff at the facility. that made this a memorable event. Sorry, now back to your question about the new facility. It is the first automated retreading plant to be built in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
Okay. So the chambers at the new factory are fully automated, thus reducing chances of any human failures, human error jumping in, and then, that usually causes tire failures. Okay, the use of modern equipment is yielding superior quality retreads, and the increase in the number of chambers at the facility has resulted in an increase in production efficiency. So, in a nutshell, we're able to retread more tires, and are thus able to meet all our customer demands timelessly.
So this is a new facility from Tiger Wheel and Tire. But what makes this retreading facility unique as compared to others in the region?
Well, this new facility is actually a game changer in the local truck and retreading process. We are basically taking truck retreading in Zimbabwe to another level. It is rated in the top 20% of such facilities in Southern Africa. And basically what we have in a nutshell on this is we have automated chambers. So what the automation of chambers does is on that reduction of human error, it also streamlines monitoring. So we're able to tell exactly which tire came out and the exact time that it was done. So, our systems are literally automated. And we have a system called enhanced thread bonding. The new factory uses an advanced vacuum system. This improves in the curing process and ensures a better seal on the tire. I'm sure you've seen all those tires when you drive on the road and they're sort of all over the road for you. That's because they've not been sealed properly. So with enhanced thread bonding, we ensure that does not happen.
All right, just lastly, briefly, come to me because our time is running out now. What would you like to tell to our customers who are listening right now?
Well, look, I'd like to say, please, if you have not come through to a Tiger Wheel Tire store, please come and visit us and experience our best-in-the-world service. Join us for this thrilling campaign, and remember, you have to be in it to win it. Let's make this summer safe and unforgettable. We are Tiger Wheel Tire. Let's go together.
Business Focus with Kudzie Sharara on the Champions League Breakfast.